Welcome to the Selling Trust Podcast with Nathan Mark. Did you know you're 10 times more likely to close a deal with an existing client than a new prospect? Today, we're diving into the Mark method to help you transform transactions into lifelong partnerships and build a referral flywheel that works for you 24/7. Hey, how's it going? Nathan Mark here on the Selling Trust Podcast. And today I wanted to talk to you about the Trust Accelerator. You know, it's interesting that the Trust Accelerator is like my first foray into the online, digital training space. And honestly, man, what a ride. First and foremost, anybody that creates content, anybody that's an educator, anybody that routinely gets up in front of people and has to speak and convey information, especially in front of a camera and it being recorded and, having to do real solid takes, man, my figurative hat off to you. Such a growing experience putting this Trust Accelerator program together. It was a crap ton of work. Like, honestly, way more work than I ever anticipated that it was going to be. And quite frankly, I was exhausted by the end of it. And that was just the recording piece, right? So all that aside, I just, big shout outs to anybody that's in that digital education space, recording content and putting it together in a way that is professional. My goodness, like, I got newfound respect for news anchors and all those. Yeah, anyway, the Trust Accelerator. I got off topic. I apologize for that a little bit. The Trust Accelerator is something that I wanted to make because, have you ever found yourself wondering, man, like, I really want to do business with this person, or I want to do business with this company, but how? How do I do it? You're stuck, right? I guess you could cold call, but that sucks. Or I have this guy or gal that I absolutely love working with, but I don't feel like I do enough business with them. How do we do more work together? How do I affect a deeper, client relationship? That's really what this video series of mine set out to the questions that it set out to answer. And, being someone that's, been thrown in the trenches and really like just told, the obligatory, right? Hey, sales manager, what do you want me to do today? And they go, I want you to sell more. Awesome. That is so freaking cool. How would you suggest that I do that? Yeah, it's something I've been told a lot, sell more, but it's not something I've had the answer to as to how. I've had that answered very few times in my career, honestly. And so this program, this Trust Accelerator program, really is an answer to how to sell more to clients, to take a client and build them and grow them into a long-term client, or to break in to a client that might not know you, or how to do some relationship recovery on a client that you might have had a bad experience with, that you lost face with, but you're going to come back. You're not going to throw them away because you see them as valuable. You see them as, a really good potential future prospect. So you're not going to let that client get away, but you're going to do some things to work towards redeeming yourself. But this is all coming from an authentic place, right? This isn't going to be sleazy. This isn't going to be, hard selling. This isn't going to be, find the pain and overcome the objections. And like, no, it's not going to be that. It's going to be showing up. It's going to be providing value. It's going to be understanding your client better than they understand themselves. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it's going to be becoming someone that they view as part of their business, right? A integral and valuable part of their business, not just another vendor, but someone who they trust, someone who they want to work with, and someone that helps them rather than someone who just is clerical, right? Hey, I need 5 of these. Get them now. You know, be more than that, right? So the Trust Accelerator program was kind of like my answer to that. I primarily built it for a way to teach my teams something that is relatively difficult to teach because it's really, really soft skills based. It's a hard thing to teach. And if people aren't natural connectors or kind of like natural like customer service or customer success focused, then it's a little more difficult. And so putting it into a course format and really getting these ideas down and providing structure and providing, step-by-step instructions on how to do these things, it's the way that I have found to not only be effective at what I do, but also save some time, because why keep saying and doing the same thing over and over and over when you can have it all done in a course format, have someone take the course, and then start teaching on top of that course. And it's just, once again, it's an accelerator in and of itself, right? So you're laying a foundation, you're giving a framework, and then you can build off of that. So you already have your candidates, right? You have your junior salespeople or people who need to take the course. They already have the foundation now, and then you can actually start teaching on higher level topics or more specific niche items, and get your team leveled up faster. I'm not gonna spoil the surprises that are in the Trust Accelerator. So my favorite thing, or one of my favorite things that's in there, has got to be the relationship audit, right? It is so simple, but it is so crucial. And I don't think a lot of people do this, right? A lot of people do sales audits, right? How much did customer A spend with us last year? How much did they spend with us this year? Why did they buy more? Or why didn't they buy as much? It, People are doing sales audits all the time, right? Let's look backwards to figure out how we're going forwards. Well, guess what? Something I think that's more telling is a relationship audit. Who do you have relationships with at that account? Do you have any real relationships at the account? Do you know anything personal, tangible, interesting, etc., about the people who work at that account that you're assigned to or you're supposed to be working with? Do you know who the owner is? Do you know the C-suite people? Do you know the VPs? Do you know the secretary? Do you know who's in charge of billing? That's important, right? So this idea of doing a relationship audit and understanding where you are at from a relationship standpoint with a client, it's massive. And it's not hard, because I guess it could be hard if you had to like do this with your boss, because it might be a little embarrassing if you don't have strong relationships. But at the same time, if you're really transparent and really honest with this process, it is a stark indication of where time needs to be spent in order to affect change. So I do that for my own business. I do that with, my students regularly. Who have you made friends with? Do you know their birthday? Do you know how many kids they have or how many dogs they have or whatever, right? Where do they like to travel? All of these things, the relationship audit. How well do you know your clients? And honestly, I would argue that it is a stronger indicator than a sales audit or a financial audit on future success than the financial audit, because people buy from who they like and trust. And if you're making relationships and you're understanding who your client is and you know stuff about them and you're ingrained in their life, chances are they're going to trust you more. They might even like you, maybe. And those two things combined are going to lead to them wanting to help you be successful and to do business with you. So if the relationships are deep, the sales are going to go up. And if the sales aren't going up, that's a whole nother conversation, because now it's like, is their company in trouble? Are they not having the same kind of opportunities that they used to have? Is your company in trouble? Are you not showing up in the marketplace in other ways like you used to? Does that need to be looked at? Right? So it's a leading indicator of a lot of stuff, but it is a very, very, very powerful tool that is inside the Trust Accelerator program. I love it. I think it's wonderful. And it just gives you the opportunity to be really honest with yourself and say, hey, where do I need to spend my time? Not to say that strong relationships need to be neglected, because that is a big, big fallacy and is going to end up biting you in the butt if that approach is taken. But a strong relationship can sustain a little bit of autopilot, right? It doesn't have to be tended to quite as hard as a dying relationship, a relationship that needs to be resurrected, or a relationship that you're trying to start new. So it lets you know where you're at with all your clients, so you know where you need to focus your time so that you can do it in a structured way and you can put a plan around doing it and then execute on the plan, right? Because as the old adage goes, right, a failure to plan is a plan to fail. So, not to be too cheesy and end on old sales quips, but the Trust Accelerator. Check it out. I have it up on school, the school community. It's on there. If you want to go look at it, I encourage you to, message me, shoot me a note. Let me know if you want access to it, or if you want to see what it's all about. I'd love to share it. I think it is a phenomenal tool. It's only a couple hours, of content, but I think it's rich, it's deep, and it gives a path, it gives a roadmap. And honestly, that's what 80-90% of us are looking for. Like, we want a syllabus, we want a roadmap, we want at least an idea of next steps, because then that helps us form the plan. And if we execute on the plan, then we can have success. So anyway, Trust Accelerator, I hope you can check it out. I'm super, super excited about it. I think it's got a lot of wonderful content, but I want you to be the judge of that. I would love to hear from you about the Trust Accelerator. Take the course, go through it, and then give me some brutal, honest feedback about what you think. And who knows, maybe I will, put my game face on and get back in the studio and do some of that dreaded recording and, professional recording, right? We'll make a Trust Accelerator 2.0 based on comments and feedback and community suggestions, and it's only going to get better. So I hope to hear from you. I look forward to hearing what you think. And with that, take it easy. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Selling Trust podcast with Nathan Mark. If you found value in today's episode, please share it with a colleague or visit nathanmark.com to download your free copy of the Revenue Event Cookbook. Keep building trust and transforming relationships. We'll catch you in the next episode. See ya!